it helpful?
In some ways, yes,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's also a hindrance
Okay,
because
so
for me, it means that I often won't start until I feel like it's just right.
now,
And so it's
being
a
a
hindrance,
perfectionist,
whereas I know a
is
lot
it
of
helpful?
people will just start and make it right along the way. So it can be a hindrance.
Okay, so it's a hindrance in some areas and helpful in other areas.
It is helpful in some areas, yes.
Okay, what about everybody else? Is it helpful? Is being a self-identified or self-proclaimed perfectionist helpful?
It helps me at work, but in trading, it kicks my butt. So
Okay.
I need, I need to get there. I don't know. You're gonna help me today. I feel it.
Okay. Okay. So at work is it's necessary, even maybe, but in the trading world, it's not that helpful to you. Now, have you always been a perfectionist? This is for everyone. Have you always been a perfectionist?
I think for me, it started over time. I hate starting something and failing at it. So I try to find a way where I don't get that failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just happened over time of making mistakes and going through stuff. Just regular life stuff. So I
Okay.
try to control everything that I can, and the things that I can't, I try to keep it away from me. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. Tomorrow, I think you were going to say something.
Um, I think I have been for as long as I can remember. But I don't really know. I don't really have a defining moment. Um, a previous coworker pointed it out to me, and it was totally opposite of who I viewed myself as. I never thought that I was a perfectionist. And she said, Tamora, it doesn't mean that you do everything right or that you think you do everything right, but it's it's just in my mind things need to be a certain way. They
Mm-hmm.
need to flow a certain way. And part of that may come from just being an only child, um, raised by a single mom, and she expected things to be a certain way, and me always wanting to be in her good graces and wanting things to be right. Um,
Okay.
it could be born out of some of that. Um, and that is just something that it's a continuous um, work in progress for myself. I'm always talking to myself and
Mm-hmm.
trying to remind myself that it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start. Do what you know. Just start. And so it's a constant battle, mental battle.
There we go. So let's go there really quickly because you asked or you kind of answered a little bit of what I was going to ask next. Now, growing up for many of you, right? What might have perfectionism looked like? How might that have shown up or been expected of you seemingly just as I don't necessarily want to say a child, but more or less from like adolescence when we could actually like make decisions and choices for ourselves.
Well,
When
kind of from. Oh, you can go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, kind of for me. I got three older sisters. None of them graduated high school, so it was a lot of pressure on me to graduate. So I wanted to make sure that I did it the right way, not just like barely passing, but I wanted to be perfect in that sense to me being separated from them and kind of separate myself as being, uh, I don't want to say necessarily perfect, but I just wanted to, I knew that pressure was on me, so I know I had to do it the right way. I couldn't slack on it.
Okay. So that high achieving, right?
Right.
we all want to be high achievers. We have goals that we are just quite literally wanting to accomplish. That's just a natural part of life. Now, for some of us, our goals may demand more of us. Do we know where that is? Maybe, maybe not so much. For others, we may have been high achievers all our lives, and that high achieving turned into perfectionism. I have to get this right. It has to be this way. If it's not this way, I need to figure out a way for it to get this way. However, here's the caveat to perfectionism. We have to define our own perfectionism. Now, if you're taking an exam or something like that, and it's just like quite simply based on facts, there's a difference. We can get a perfect score or on an exam. But in life, is there a perfect score?
No.
Is there a perfect score in life?
No. There's
no perfect score in life. Because what my score looks like has absolutely no indication on what your score may look like. Meaning, I am attempting to be perfect based on whose standards?
True. My own.
Right. My own standards. Yep. Are we confident in that statement?
Yeah, that's a true statement.
I am.
Okay. Yep. I'm sensing some hesitation here. I want to get this right based on the expectations that I have set for myself, or based on the expectations that someone else has set for me, or the expectations that are just kind of set overall.
Today, as a grown woman, it's my own.
Okay.
But there was a time when, yes, it was based upon what I thought others expected of me.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to a point in life where you begin to set a standard for yourself.
Now, we're all adults now. We can make the decisions. We get to make all the choices. We get to have big fun. We get to do whatever we want.
True.
That also means that we make mistakes too. When we make mistakes, what happens?
We look at it as a failure.
Okay. We failed. I failed. Something has failed.
I mean, yeah, I failed, but I try to correct it as soon as I can.
Okay.
I think they're just learning opportunities. I don't like to classify it as a failure, because
failure,
you learn in everything that you do, and every experience of life you learn from it. For every action, there's a reaction, right? So, you learn how to improve it for the next time, or you learn how to build in. I would say more safety nets.
Okay.
You learn how to just go a different route. Okay, that didn't work. Find another way. You keep pushing and find another way.
Yeah, that mistake can be a learning opportunity, but also that mistake could be a better way of doing what you thought you wanted to do.
Yeah, that's good.
It sounds like perspective.
There we go.
Yeah. Just how you see
perspective.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot I was on here. Yeah. To me, it sounds like basically how you choose your day and how you see it is how it'll turn out. Your perspective, whether it's good or bad, is your choice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So let me ask you this question. How do you all manage your high expectations that you have for yourselves while also addressing your concerns over making mistakes and the criticism that may come with some of those mistakes?
Well, if I can speak, for me, I try to give myself grace each time, as much as possible. Each time I find myself in that space, to try not to kick myself while I'm down. I try to replace that same energy with telling myself it's okay, and possibly if it's a new experience that, you know, I haven't done it before, so once again, it's a learning experience, and try to be okay.
Okay.
With me, I try to walk away at first because I don't like to address my problems whenever I'm mad because I make rash decisions.
Mhm.
And sometimes, if you're in a situation, whatever you say, you can't take it back. So I'd rather walk away and then address it later when I'm calmed down.
Mhm.
That's smart.
Okay. Here comes the accountability portion. We take a step back, right? We walk away. We give ourselves a little bit of a chance. Does that happen for us in our trading world?
I tried to.
At first, it never used to for me. After a while, and I had to revert back to what I'm used to in life, walking away. So if I
Mhm.
do something bad and I didn't follow my rules, I'll walk away, close my laptop and walk away. Don't look at it. When I feel like I'm over it, then I go back to it
Okay.
and
Okay.
see where I went wrong, what could I have done better. So I try to attack it with a more level-headed than a more heated mentality.
Okay. Anyone else? Do we extend ourselves that same grace? Do we take those steps back to see what we did? Do we go and identify what we can maybe do better the next time? Or do we simply say, I just got to get this right? This can't happen again. This is completely wrong and this is unacceptable.
Oh no, I don't go that far. Nah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're human, so I try to at least tell myself like, there's in life you're gonna make mistakes regardless. But going back to piggyback, that's how you learn. So, if you want to grow in any way, you have to. I think the way I've heard it, you got to fail forward. So in a sense,
That's the
right, to do that,
And fail
then
often so you can learn.
right, because otherwise, you won't be able to. If you knew everything, you wouldn't be able to learn anything.
Exactly.
So, but in that sense, it's a good opportunity to take it that way if you put yourself in that perspective to look at it that way. Instead of a loss, it's a lesson. And so, hopefully, that train yourself in that space, and then your perspective will change.
Now, as you all are trading, right? And as you continue to trade, you are learning, hopefully.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're learning. It's a continuous knowledge building thing that you are doing. Now, as you are learning, as you are continuing to build, do your expectations continue to increase?
Yeah. So far they have.
Yeah. Being honest. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, that's natural. That's a natural human being process. But that is also what is happening for us in life. As we continue to go throughout life, as we continue to have generalized everyday experiences, the demand of ourselves continues to increase. The expectations of ourselves continue to increase. So as much as we are wanting to extend ourselves grace, there are going to be areas where we may not be extending ourselves as much grace as we were in the past because our expectations have increased, thus the demands of us have increased. So sometimes we don't have that ability. So we need those reminders, and we have to remind ourselves that this may not be perfect.
Right.
So in us striving to achieve this idea of perfectionism, are we taking into account the experiences and the knowledge that is also being learned and continued to impart upon us? Are we considering that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, whether it be trading or life in general, I try to better myself every day, you know.
Yeah.
That way, there's something I did yesterday I can improve today, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be even better than yesterday or today.
Mm-hmm.
And always learning, and I don't know, just constantly improving on myself, whether it's trading or family or friends or whatever, you know. Just try to be a better person every day.
That's good.
As we are trying to be better, our personal standards increase. Who's
But as far as
who's
perfection,
everyone's biggest critic?
well,
Yourself.
I am for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All day.
All day. Yeah, I listen to myself all day.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, are we criticizing ourselves based on today, or are we criticizing ourselves based on like 16-year-old us or 20-year-old us?
Well, it's definitely a past, for sure.
Can you do all the above? Is that
So,
an
yeah,
option?
it depends. Depends.
Yeah.
I mean, is it better for your future or
Right. So yeah.
talking about your past?
Right.
All the
all the-
above.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, perfection, I don't think there is a thing as perfection because there's always room for improvement.
Yes.
Right.
There is always room for improvement. There's always room for us to be able to adjust. There's always room for us to be able to go back in and review something, rearrange something to better fit whatever's happening and whatever is going on.
Right.
So as we
Right.
are our own worst critics, our personal standards, they are going to continue to increase. We are the only ones who get to say this is where it stops. Although it may continue to increase, I don't need to put more pressure on myself. But that isn't typically what happens.
Right.
Because we are wanting to achieve these great things, we continue to put pressure on ourselves. We continue to expect things of ourselves. Others may even compliment us. And for some of us, that then pushes us further. If you're complimenting me, or if you're telling me that I did something well, oh, I need to do it a little bit better. Like I need to go full force some more.
Right.
Actually, for me, I hear a compliment and then, I don't know, I just kind of mellow out. I'm like, oh yeah, somebody knows I'm doing good. I must be doing good. So I'll relax for a little bit.
Good. Good.
But that's just how I work anyway.
That's good.
Then I'll find myself slipping and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta pick it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right.
We hope to be that way. That is a healthy way of allowing ourselves to continue to achieve and make progress.
I need to work on that one because when I hear someone say, anytime I get a compliment or you did that well, in my head, that just became standard.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just became the standard, and it's something for me to live up to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Um, Only in this conversation am I really recognizing that's not necessarily a healthy way to think about it. So I think I guess I've struggled to accept compliments. Don't really know like how to internalize that.
There we go.
Mm.
For me, a lot of times when I hear a compliment, I set such a high standard for myself. I'll be like, well, thank you, but it could have been better.
Yeah.
I do that quite often, especially with work. I'm at the beginning of this trading journey, so I'm still learning. And when I first reached out to Chris, even before I talked to him, I would spend hours watching the videos and trying to learn the language. And I would sit and just listen to the Q&A, just listening at how it emotionally affected individuals and how what they were physically doing. So that's a lot for me. And I was like, I got to hurry up and get there. And I would seriously watch hours and hours of videos every day. I worked from home, so it was easy for me to do. And I ended up getting into an accident, and I still tried to watch hours and hours of videos, and trying to hold myself to that really high standard that I normally keep myself at. And it got to be a health issue. And I was just like, okay, well, something is telling me to fall back. You have plenty of time. Take your time, take care of yourself, take care of your mind. And I think overall, for me, it was just me rushing it, me trying to be the perfect me that I always try to be. And that it's not going to work in this situation.
There we go. The perfect me that I have always strived to be, but my body said, no. But it took that extreme in order for me to kind of get that light bulb moment, right?
Yeah. Yes, and it was really extreme because I haven't been down. This is the first time in years I've been down for so long, and it's like every day it was a new symptom. Like last night, I jumped back in. I was learning how to trade, and I'm all getting all excited. And today I have a new symptom. I was like, wait a minute now. So it's just really I can see how this being at this point. Again, I'm a beginner. I'm a novice. How it can be really stressful, and I don't want the one thing that I'm trying not to become is stressed out. And Chris tells me all the time, the internet is not going anywhere. I mean, the market is not going anywhere. You have time. Don't rush it. Be patient. And I think that's what I lack is the patience.
And that'll come with time. I mean, the more you do it, the more relaxed you'll become, and you'll just become natural for it. Because I was the same way. I was like, Chris is like, oh, you don't have to trade every day. You don't have to do this. Just take your time. I was like, nah, I'm doing this. I'm getting in. I'm gonna win. And then I was like, I got frustrated. I had to stop trading.
That was me. That's me now.
I had to stop for like 2 weeks. I didn't even trade.
Right.
And then when I started trading again, I switched my strategy a little bit. And now I'm only trading like 2-3 times a week. Well, I've done that already this week, but yeah, I don't jump in it all day, every day. I jump in it when I want to, and I look. If it's something I see, well, in the morning I'll check charts, and if I see something I like, then I'll play later. But there's days where I don't even look at my computer because I know like it's always going to be there. And if I want to jump in, I can. If I don't want to, I don't have to.
Yeah, it sounds like you got to master balance. Just being able to balance yourself in all of this. So I fully understand that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that same thing. Yeah, just trying to balance it all out.
Now,
Yeah.
in balancing, you do have to find that balance. You have to determine like what is perfection, so to speak, what is stability, what are my standards, what are the demands that I am realistically able to handle.
Yes.
I can't do this all the time and expect myself to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll be done. I become consumed with it. Sometimes intentionally, other times unintentionally. But if we're becoming consumed with something, eventually we set our standards so high for ourselves, we can't
Well, I
meet.
kind of have a cheat code for myself. Because, go ahead.
What's your cheat code?
I'm a Libra, so I got the scales are in my nature to be
Okay,
level.
okay.
It's natural for me to be level, and I do get out of whack sometimes, but I'm real quick, and I bring my center back to level quickly.
Okay.
So,
Who has ever gotten themselves to a place where they set these standards for themselves and they actually notice or realize that I can't do this? This is quite literally not possible
Yeah.
in the
I've been
way that I have said it. It's not possible.
Yeah. I've been there several times where you feel like it's tangible based on the sight. You know that saying they say when you go in the when you're really hungry and you're like, oh man, I could just eat everything in the fridge, and it's like somebody in a family member will be like, well, be careful. Your eyes are bigger than your stomach. I feel like that same concept works in this way, where it's like you want to achieve so much so soon to try to look at that future life you see within what you think is capable within tomorrow, next week, and you see it so vividly as it being tangible, but you're not looking at the steps. It's like from A to Z, but you don't have, all the other letters in between to figure out how to get to the ladder. But you're like, dang, can we jump? Was there an elevator somewhere? Can we just, take flight? How can I do that? I'm trying to get there tomorrow. But then forget, there's steps, and you got to be careful with trying to remember that in the midst of not getting lost with looking at, the end goal only.
I am 100% guilty of that. I'm happy you said that.
We set these standards, but they're possible, but not in the way that we've set them, not in the way that we've looked to them.
Right.
Now, in us trying to get to those standards that we've set for ourselves, we're spiraling out of control. We quite literally are fixated on what we have set. However, these high standards and these demands, we can't meet them. Eventually, we may be able to meet them, but right now, in the way,
That's what I was gonna say. I will meet them, just maybe not right now, but eventually I will. Yeah.
Maybe not right now, and because of that, we're spiraling out of control. We're beginning to make decisions that are not healthy for us. We're beginning to recognize and see things that are not the best for us. Perfectionism on a day-to-day basis affects our lives. So if we recognize and know that it affects our lives on a day-to-day basis, what is that going to do for our trading? What is that going to do for us as traders?
Right.
Now, I have the definition of perfection per Webster. Okay? Who does this resonate with? This specific definition. Meaning, perfection is a noun, the quality or state of being perfect, such as a freedom from fault or defect, flawlessness, maturity, or the quality or state of saintly. We've used all of these words before. And the simplification of supreme excellence. I need to be excellent.
Supreme gangster.
Supreme excellence. An unsurpassable degree of accuracy or excellence. The act or process of perfecting.
Totally opposite of me.
Yo, that's too much.
Perfectionism is too much.
Yeah. I just want a piece of the pie.
And actually, I feel like I blame pride and ego for this.
Ooh, okay.
For me, just for me, that takes the wheel every time that spirals me out of control with your definition. So with hearing this, that's what kind of like blares in the back of my mind. I'm like, that damn pride and ego every time. I feel like that's what makes me lose the focus that I need based on what you are expressing and piggybacking on what everybody else is talking about. Yeah, that's just my two.
Yep. That being said, though, your pride and ego is the reflection of someone else towards you, right? So if you are keeping to yourself, being yourself, or working on yourself, that's just you. I mean, nobody even knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second somebody else is there to judge, that's when your pride and ego kicks in. Right?
Is it fair to say that I can judge myself though, based on what we talked about? Because I mean,
for sure.
we're going off.
I mean, that's just holding yourself to yourself standard, right? And
right,
and
but
you know you're gonna.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I believe what you're saying. I'm with you. I'm also trying to say, like, at the same time, what we just talked about too was, is it healthy, right? So that's where I'm coming from. It's like you can have expectations, but for this right here, it sounds like it's going to the extent of it not being healthy, where pride and ego take the wheel. So that's where I'm coming from, where it's like a little bit over that balance of like, yeah, you can have a tangible sense of like balance where you're like, I'm gonna reach it to an extent where I'm comfortable, but we're talking about the uncomfortable parts. We're talking about what didn't work, what's not working, So that's why I think about the pride and ego.
For like a self-standard situation.
Right, like
Right.
Like,
yep.
I
That's
think
just holding yourself accountable within yourself, right?
Right.
You got yourself at a level, and you want to be that level. Sometimes you may not hit that level.
Right.
But tomorrow's another day, and you can hit that level.
Yeah, that's true.
So it goes back to, we're setting our standards, we're setting our expectations, but the demands of ourselves to meet those expectations sometimes comes at a risk that unfortunately we may not be able to afford.
That's why I just keep quiet.
There you go. Yeah.
Because we are our own worst critics, right? We know that. We've said that. We just stated that. We are our own worst critics.
Yeah.
So as we are even setting our own goals and standards and expectations, we are placing more demands on ourselves. That can't be in our trading space. That is going to
that's really bad when you do that.
Yes.
I'm firsthand. I lost. Well, I like to say I invested. I didn't lose it. I invested quite a bit of money.
Right.
But like I said, it's an investment, so I'm gonna get it back eventually. But yeah, I went on a grudge run for a minute. That wasn't good.
One of the things, as I have up here, perfectionism is an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Whose idea is it?
Ourselves.
Our own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our own. So if perfectionism is our own idea, are we identifying that? Are we reminding ourselves of that?
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
I heard some mm-ms, I heard some yes, and then I got a hopefully. Are you reminding
Trying to be transparent.
There we go.
I'm always trying to be mindful of my thoughts and my attitude and everything that's going on all the time. So I'm always trying to be mindful of every given situation. So yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Personally, I had to learn. Yeah. I had to learn in school to choose progression over perfection. Chasing perfection, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Sure. Yep.
That's
the definition of insanity. We create the idea of perfection. Now, I have listed here assisted and impacted. How has perfectionism assisted us? How has it impacted us? Negatively impacted us. Okay, because it's very rare that there are a whole lot of positive impacts. When things begin to impact, it is a dent, right? So how has perfectionism, our idea, which I'm wondering if everyone has created their idea of perfectionism, how has perfectionism, your idea of perfectionism, assisted you, and how has it impacted you?
I'd say the pursuit of greatness has assisted me. Perfectionism has caused me to have a mental break. So I'd say that's how it impacted me.
Okay.
Well, one way it assisted me, just like with my job now, it helped me move to where I am now and make the money that I make now. But the negative impact is so much is expected of me every single day now. Almost like I'm taking everything off everybody else's plate and putting it on mine, just based on the things that I did to get to where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm. So when we outline those things, when we say this is how it's assisted me, but this is also how it's impacted me, which category do we typically find ourselves going back to?
I gotta perfect it. I gotta make it right.
How do I make it right?
Giving yourself grace.
Okay, what else? We gotta adjust some things.
Yeah. I'm just like you said. I'm adjusting constantly, all back and forth. So I mean, life to me is always adjusting to make it equal.
We gotta adjust our standards for ourselves.
There you go.
Yeah.
We gotta move some things around. If that means reassigning tasks or assigning tasks to other people in our lives too, right? Moving certain things within the trades or the way that we trade, moving those things around. We also, you know how we have like these SMART goals, this thing called SMART goals? We're setting these goals extremely high. And then we are expecting for ourselves to deliver on that extremely high every single time.
There you go.
Oh, I did it, so like I need to continue to do it. Or so-and-so did it, maybe even, and we started off the same and we had a lot of conversations, and so I need to do that too. Or I am setting these standards, like, oh, what I feel like is pretty manageable, but then if I didn't make it, I'm considering myself as being under. So now I got to set it a little bit higher because I can do it. I can do this. This is not that big. Is it?
Well, another thing, I drive truck for a living, right?
Okay.
And I get paid a percentage of the truck. And some days, I got a pretty high percentage. Other days, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
But at the in the end, it's an average game on a day-to-day basis, right?
Hmm.
So I take that into my lifestyle too. There's days where they're really great, and other days where they're not so great. They're kind of boring, whatever, but they average out. And that's what I'm taking into trading too. There's good days in trading, and then there's bad days, but it all averages out. And if I'm increasing and doing good, then averagely I'm progressing and doing better.
So if we average ourselves, I like that example, right? Taking the average of things. But even in order for us to have an average, don't we have to have some highs and lows?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's definitely some highs and lows, yeah.
Right? So in order for us to even develop or identify an average, we have to have highs and lows.
That's even with your relationships and everything too. That's life in general. There's highs and lows.
That is life in general.
Yeah.
So being a perfectionist, can we base it on our average? Or
No.
are we only going to base it on our maximum?
Now, I like how you put that.
By definition, you
That
can't
I
put it
can
on your
relate
average.
to. Exactly. Perfectionism is, I can relate to my average.
I think it was Alex or maybe Christopher. Someone said something and I didn't catch it.
I said by definition, if you're trying to be a perfectionist, you're going for your max.
Oh, Sebastian, hi. Yes, you're going for seemingly you're going for your max. So if perfectionism is an idea that we create, at what point do we create it based maybe slightly above our average?
Maybe when we see certain things, like me, for instance, when I was paper trading, I was making X amount every time I traded. So for me, that when I switched to real money, for me that said I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And when I come under that goal, it's like, what the hell are you doing? You was just doing it when you was, you know what I mean?
Right. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So if that helps anybody, I mean, I'm going through it right now, live in the flesh.
That live money, that's a whole different game.
Whole different ball game.
I don't know what it is.
Well, it's simple. In the paper trading, you have nothing on the line.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
You have no real skin in the game. You can just reset it. You get to zero, reset it back to 100,000, $1 million, whatever the case is.
So for me, I'll switch back from live and paper all the time. But I'll do the same trades regardless, right? So naturally, your brain is just doing the same thing. It's not, oh, hey, we're live today, or we're paper trade today. That's kind of been my trick.
I'll give you a side note paper trading tip as well. When you're paper trading, you click the reset button. It'll bring up an amount of money. You can type in the amount of money that you're actually going to be trading with and make it a little bit more realistic for yourself.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to put in the same example. If you put in what is tangible within your actual bank account, what you're willing to risk, then it brings that reality a lot closer.
Wait a minute, how do you do that?
There's when you're running out of money or you've gone up so high, you can click reset, and then there'll be a little parameter come up. Type in an actual value. So type in $5,000, type in $500, whatever you have in your actual account, and trade the market as if you're trading a real account.
And it'll put it as that. Yeah.
I've just been doing the math on that 200,000.
Right.
Well, you got to think. I started out doing the 100 paper trades, made over $1 million, got in the real market and lost 5,000.
Right. Yeah, it's like, what happened?
Yeah,
the math ain't mathing.
Well, it's not a loss. It's an investment.
Right.
Well,
I call it the cost of doing business.
It may be an investment, right? But
it's only a loss if you
it may be an investment. However, for some people, as much as it is an investment, it's an investment that they didn't plan on taking. And if they are a self-identified perfectionist, then that is a problem.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie.
And
That does
because,
feel like there's a gap. When you go
Right.
between that, it feels like there's a gap between understanding the routine of the bigger thing. And it's like, wait, if this doesn't match, then what did I do?
So
And well, in the route of perfectionist too.
So for high achieving people,